Welcome to my views and news. Bad news for Ethiopian government, which has been trying to secure a bailout package for its troubled economy. We know that Ethiopian economy is in trouble for months. Ethiopian government has been in talks with the IMF, with the World Bank, but IMF today has shared new conditions which Ethiopian government will have to fulfill to secure any loan or grant, especially loans from the IMF. What are the new conditions? Can Ethiopia fulfill these new conditions? Secondly, viewers, a meeting was held reportedly between Ethiopian Army and Prosperity Party leaders. The meeting was about ongoing operation in the Amhara region, where the army is trying to disband special force members, special force. It is trying to disarm Fano factions. It is trying to arrest alleged perpetrators involved in the assassination of Girma Yeshitila. What was the agenda of the meeting? And were there any decisions made at this key meeting? Firstly, viewers, Ethiopian economy is in trouble. It has been hoping to get a bailout package from the global financial institutions, and the Ethiopian government has been in talks with the IMF, with the World Bank. We have seen meetings between Ethiopian government officials and Chinese officials, between Ethiopian finance ministry officials and EU officials too. Ahmed Shide traveled to China, then he was in the US. But new conditions have been shared by the IMF, which Ethiopia will have to fulfill. Now, in a separate video, we can analyze the factors which led to this economic crisis. Obviously, one of the factors is the war in northern Ethiopia, and then global food crisis, global energy prices hike, and several other issues have caused this problem for Ethiopian economy. Now, Ethiopia is hoping to get a bailout package from the IMF. But IMF has been in talks with the Ethiopian government, and just more than a week ago, we heard from some government officials on condition of anonymity that Ethiopia was on track to receive a $2 billion loan from the IMF. It was a good news for the Ethiopian economy, but now new conditions have been shared by the IMF. IMF spokesperson spoke a few hours ago. Now the IMF wants Ethiopian government to get assurances from creditors and development partners, those who have already given loans to Ethiopian government like China, etc. These countries will have to give assurance to the IMF on behalf of Ethiopian government, firstly. Secondly, development partners including US, EU, China, Japan, etc. They'll have to reassure the IMF as well on behalf of Ethiopian government that Ethiopian government should be given this bailout package. Now, these are very difficult conditions. Now, Ethiopia will have to convince all the creditors and all the development partners to support this bailout package. Will China, will EU countries, will US, will all of them support Ethiopian government? Will they support this bailout package? Now, it's not just between IMF and Ethiopia. I've been saying that, by the way, that IMF won't approve any loans grants unless there is green light from the US, from EU. Now, it's not just green light. Now, in black and white, Ethiopia needs commitment from financial creditors, from development partners, other countries to support this bailout package. And the creditors will only give assurance to the IMF if they know that Ethiopian economy is in a position to return IMF's loans. So that is why it's not a good news for Ethiopian economy. I think it's a bad news, though IMF praised in its statement the progress made towards peace and stability in Ethiopia. I've been saying that some peace talks between armed factions in Ethiopia and Ethiopian government have been a demand of this IMF World Bank negotiation process. Reportedly, US and EU countries through IMF, through World Bank, they demanded Ethiopian government to resolve internal armed conflicts before issuance of new loans, grants. That is why we're seeing talks between Oromo Liberation Army and Ethiopian government. We saw talks between TPLF and Ethiopian government. Pretoria deal was signed. We saw talks in Gambela, in BG, in Amhara as well. Talks between Argos and the government did not succeed. So it means that the talks are not just focusing on a bailout package. Rather, it's a complete package. Ethiopian government will have to give assurances about its internal security. Then other countries will have to be involved as well to support Ethiopian government in this effort to get a bailout package. Overall, I think tough conditions for Ethiopian government to meet. Let's see. Secondly, viewers, a meeting has been held between Ethiopian Army and Prosperity Party leaders, especially from the Amhara PP leaders. What was the agenda? Why was there a need to hold such a meetings? Ethiopian Army is definitely facing a challenge in the Amhara region, where it started a campaign to disband Amhara Special Force, a campaign to disarm Amhara Fano fighters, a campaign and operation to arrest the culprits involved in the assassination of Girmaji Shetila. The government accused Fano commanders Mere Vudajo and Balatashigao from Wollo and Shoa that they are behind the assassination of Girmaji Shetila. Both could not be arrested. What does the army want from the Prosperity Party? Why was this meeting held? Well, I've been reporting in Wollo, in Gondar, in Shoa. In all these three zones, we saw that when Ethiopian army tried to start a major operation against Fano fighters, locals stood between Ethiopian army and Fano fighters. In some cases, locals averted a large-scale operation against Fano fighters, against former members of Amhara Special Force. When army was conducted house-to-house searches in Kobo, people protested. Army was trying to trace Merebodajo. In Shoa as well, I reported that people protested. And in Gondar, we saw 2-day strike, where people went on strike to show their support, their solidarity with Fano fighters, and then talks were held there in Gondar city, at Gondar city mayor office. So Ethiopian government and Ethiopian army wants Prosperity Party leaders to play their role. Where are they? Are lower ranks of Prosperity Party standing with the people of Amhara region, standing with Fano fighters, or are they supporting the defense institution? That is why the meeting was held reportedly in Addis Ababa. Top army officials were there, top PP members were there, especially from Amhara PP. And Ethiopian army said that the army was facing a challenge in Amhara because Prosperity Party's role was missing. PP leaders were not there on the ground to support Ethiopian army. PP leaders should be there, the army said, to support Ethiopian army. They should talk to the people, they should talk to the Fano fighters, they should talk to former Amhara Special Force member. They should tell what is the objective of this operation. It is not against Amhara people, but PP is nowhere to be seen. That is why Ethiopian army is facing a challenge. Ethiopian army does not want to kill innocent people. It doesn't want to kill civilians because civilian killings, large-scale civilian killings could lead to a wider unrest in the region. So that is why now the army wants Prosperity Party to play its part in the mediation between Fano and army and in convincing Fano fighters, former Amhara Special Forces members, to disarm. These are very tough conditions or tough instructions from the Ethiopian army to Prosperity Party leaders. I think I did a video about low ranks of Amhara PP. Low ranks of Amhara PP are finding it difficult to support Ethiopian government. Amhara PP top ranks narrative about the ongoing operation in the region. That is why low ranks are standing with the people, and a few days ago reportedly a plan was in the making to remove or to change lower officials of the Prosperity Party, because lower officials are with people, with hardliners in some cases, not with Ethiopian federal government. And it's difficult, by the way, for Prosperity Party leaders to stand with the army. See what happened when Girma Shetila openly supported the disarmament, demobilization of Amhara Special Force members. He was assassinated. His family is accusing Fano fighters. His family members are fighting in support of Ethiopian army against Fano fighters in Shoa. But no culprits arrested so far. Rather, his family members are being declared as anti-Amhara. So that is why PP party members are scared. They're not in a position to stand with the Ethiopian army. They'll have to face the people, face the hardliners, the armed factions in the region. So that is why they're silent. Army's request to them to break the silence, to support the Ethiopian army, will it be, will the Prosperity Party ranks listen to this demand, this request? We'll see. So far, I personally think it's difficult for PP members in Amhara region to support Ethiopian National Defense Force against Fano. They can play intermediary role, some role of mediation, not more than that, I think. Thank you for watching.